you can hear me, please. There is always a delay, so when you type, there's a delay. So I'll just wait a bit and see if you can hear me, and then I'll continue. I made a few notes just so I don't miss anything. Normally I prefer going offhand, but I made some notes so that I don't disappoint you. Okay, yes, you can hear me. All right. While you share and invite people, I think it is important we have more people here tonight. And also, don't forget, the intention is actually to have the thing saved on Facebook. And please, I need volunteers to bring it down from Facebook then after, and perhaps host it on YouTube. I don't really care about a personal YouTube channel. It doesn't really matter at this time. When we are free, we would engage in such businesses or politics, whatever. For now, please, just do us a favor, bring it down from Facebook soon after, and please host it on YouTube for more viewership. And the essence is that we reach out many more people in need of such sharing. Yeah, as you know, I just want to touch on the onset. I want to on the outset. I want to touch on the book 70 by 7 times Wiser, which I know many of you are looking forward to have it in the marketplace. We won't call it a marketplace because it's not really for sale in the sense. Of course, we are going to cover the production cost just so we can keep producing till our great grandchildren can access whatever we've reduced as knowledge on paper. So yeah, production, God willing and as God has wanted, has started today. We have been able to communicate with some printers. So production, God willing, had started. We are hoping to engage them some more so that the process could be speedy, and then we start having the book. So as you know, being here on Ground Zero, we can't have any form of gatherings in the name of launching. So once it's out, we are going to have something live like this or on another platform to advertise a book, and of course explain areas of access, point of sales, things like that. Just so you know, the project is on and being finalized. That said, dear Southern Cameroonians, we've been on a journey. Some may say we've gone past halfway of the journey. Some may say we are close to the finish line. Some may say we just started. I will say that we are on this journey never to turn back. But our attitude has converted a straight path journey into a circle. No one's attitude but ours. So if there is a way to change it, it depends on one thing again: our own attitude. Because our attitude is what has converted the straight path into a circle. So if there's one thing that can change it, to convert it into a straight path, it is again our attitude. I'm just afraid that this cycle does not continue so much such that it doesn't remain a cycle, a philosophical cycle, but it becomes a vicious cycle. We don't want that, and God is not going to allow that to happen. Let me remind you, Southern Cameroonians, whence we came. Well, someone was correcting me grammatically on the expression, English expression of whence. Yeah, so usually you would say from where we came, or you say where we came from. But when we use whence, this Shakespearean expression, it is a reduction of words. So When you say whence, you don't need to say from. So you say whence we came. It's shorter and better. Just so yes, I mean, we're all learners, and by the way, it is not our language, English, so we cannot boast of it. Neither should we mock at anyone who is not fluent comparatively. We came from God, like any other creation, and to Him is our return. That is by default. We are in a land called the Southern Cameroons today that God created and designed by de facto for us Southern Cameroonians to sojourn in. So this is not our birthright. It is our inherent right. It is divine that we belong here. It is not only because we were born here. It is an inherent right that we deserve. We've been here, and the Europeans decided to explore the world for reasons like the Germans would call Lebensraum, which means living space, like the Portuguese, the British, the French, the Belgians, etc. The Spanish, they wanted some more raw material because of their industrialization. They wanted labor, manpower, so they expanded to Africa, to the Americas, to Asia. But our business here is Africa. They came down here and colonized us. Specifically, the British, first of all, came here, had us as a protectorate. And then the Germans came. And then the British came again. But I want you never to forget whence you came. Many people tend to forget in their life whence they came. And once you forget whence you came, any place is your destination, because you forget who you are. By default, who are you and I, Christian and Muslims? Biblically, Quranically, we are the children of Abraham. Who was Abraham? According to you and me, that was a king. He was a king to all the lands that God gave him. And biblically and Quranically, we are product of a promise God made him. His seed were going to be as many as the stars, if you could count the stars, or the sun and the sea, if you could count. We are a product of that, via Isaac and Ishmael. Now, wherever we find ourselves, in the territory of Southern Cameroons, for example, we are heirs to the throne of Abraham. We are heirs to the king, Abraham. We are not heirs to the throne of Abraham in La République du Cameroon or in Nigeria. But this place that God has given us, we are heirs. So you are the king on the land that God gave you, by virtue of the fact that your father Abraham is the king who has passed. Whence you came, that it is. Never forget that. You are backed biblically. You are backed by a divine command theory. This is your line. The British Southern Cameroons was administered via indirect rule with by the British with Nigeria. Because of incompatibility, unfairness, cosmological differences, identical and cultural discrepancies, our parents decided in 1953 to pull out of Nigeria. These things we know, but it is worth repeating over and over so you don't forget whence you came and who you are. We pulled out of Nigeria and we arrived and reconstructed our faculties. 1 year after we pulled back, to show you how organized and determined Southern Cameroonians have always been, 1 year after withdrawing out from the Enugu House of Assembly or House of Chiefs, 1 year, the first democracy in Africa was born. We are going to be looking at the definitions of these words. You know, we use a lot of words without thinking about their meaning. The democracy of Africa was born. The first election of a government to rule a people by the people was conducted in 1954 on the land of your sojourn by your fathers. Yes. A long time came the close of the 1950s, the close of colonization. A bill was passed that all trust territories and colonies be decolonized, and instruments of governance be given back to the people that were under colonization in the first place. Resolution 1608 gave Southern Cameroon her independence of OFF, colonization of any form. Before Resolution 1608 gave Southern Cameroon her independence, La République du Cameroun, or French Cameroon, had had her independence 1 year earlier, on the 1st of January 1960. And Ayijo took an oath before the United Nations that his government of La République du Cameroun was never and will never and should never come to annex Southern Cameroons. Why? Because despite the 1959 conference in Manfi, which had two questions, the business of the 1959 conference in Manfi was narrowed down to the day to constitute two basic questions. Question number one: was reintegration with Nigeria versus independence for Southern Cameroons. Question number two was reunification, as they put it, with La République du Cameroun versus integration with Nigeria. Get the two questions. Our parents voted with a majority of 61% for independence. But when they came dubiously to grant us independence upon joining somebody, which was either La République du Cameroun or Nigeria, they didn't consider the referendum that took place 2 years earlier in 1959 in Manfi. Notice, the referendum did not carry a question of integration between Nigeria or with Nigeria or La République du Cameroun. It had reunification with La République du Cameroun or our independence, or reintegration with Nigeria or our independence. Our parents voted for our independence. Now let's fast forward, because I'm sure you know all of this. A gentleman's agreement was made. After serious debate between our parents, and EML Indele was equivocal when he said, look, we just left Nigeria because Nigeria is a deep blue sea. And La République du Cameroon then was a blazing fire because French Cameroon, with the aid of France, was killing her own citizens. That's how the Buddha people fled and ran into the northern zone, particularly of southern Cameroons. He said, what about what we agreed and voted for in Mamfi? What about the third option of our independence, which of course is by and large the democratic position? That is the democratic position. That is the majority position. What about it? After long debate, a gentleman's agreement was reached at to join La République du Cameroon as equal states. The federal constitution that was unilaterally carved out by La République du Cameroon at least still mentioned the fact that the form of the state should never be changed and that these are two states of two equal status entering into such an engagement. Of course, you know, it remains a federal constitution that is illegal. It is illegal because for any union to be union by international law, international union of state, for it to be legal and binding, three things have to happen. In our case, the two premiers, that was John Goufoncha for the Southern Cameroons, Aijo Amadou of La République du Cameroon, are supposed to endorse whatever constitution that was drafted. Once they endorse these constitutions, they are supposed to take it to their houses of assemblies. For ourselves, the Southern Cameroon's House of Chiefs, and of course, the Parliament of La République du Cameroon have to ratify such a constitution. Thereafter, the two states would jointly deposit the constitution with the United Nations for recognition. This is why the United Nations has no record of any country as the Federal Republic of Cameroon, neither does she have any record of any country called the United Republic of Cameroon, 1961 and 1972 respectively. These were all things that were done illegally. There is no union treaty. No country has entered any federation without a union treaty. None has done that, except La République du Cameroon and Southern Cameroons. Now, from day one, from 1962, they bought over the British pound sterling. That was our currency, which was by far stronger than the French francs, the CFA francs that La République du Cameroon was using under France. They bought our currency with such a cheap price that gave birth to a process called pauperization. Pauperization is a process of ensuring that people become perpetually poor from one generation to the other. And before we entered this union, we brought in a lot of things, you know, a lot. We had everything a country is supposed to have: our police, our economy, our education, and those that you can name. And don't forget institutions like the marketing board, the Cameroon Bank, our airports, our deep sea ports, and all of these things that we entered into the union with that made us stronger started experiencing erosion. They were forced to redundancy and forced to collapse by the presidency of La République du Cameroon. Further on then, oil was discovered in the southern part of the southern Cameroons, precisely in a county known as Ndian, and a lot of deposits, signs were also discovered in areas like Victoria and so on, because according to experts in the field, to know that oil could be deposited on a place, you would find limestone deposits on the surface, you know, Nkangwa, you realize that the surface of the soil produces limestone. There is high possibility. Those are good pointers that beneath that could be huge resources. And a lot of parts, even here in the northern zone, like Sabga, had that. But the federal constitution did not allow La République du Cameroon to explore and exploit natural resources like that. So they were forced, as part of the master plan initially, to advance then onto plan B, which was changing the constitution against the articles of the same constitution into a united republic. This happened in 1972. And again, thank God, this is why it is a God ordained struggle. Again, there wasn't anything signed. Foncha went, behold and hold, enjoyed himself and forgot to sign any document. Hallelujah, praise God for that, because had he signed, we wouldn't have a case. So he enjoyed himself, danced, and came back empty-handed. That makes sense today, right? So nothing was signed. Okay, Southern Cameroonians began experiencing relegation and marginalization. They were marginalized on their own territory, and there were indications that bilingualism had become expensive. So the best way to do it was to try and, though on the surface of it or on paper, it says it is a bilingual country, but it is best to have French as the only language. That you can see today. You can see the police is French, the gendarme is French, administrative organizations in all of these places, French. You go to Southern Cameroon, even in the struggle, all the commissioners in the police stations are only French speakers. The commandant, the brigades, and all of these big names, French speakers. Even in the marches in the courts, we still have the French magistrate. Even in the schools, like the University of Bamenda, is by and large occupied and owned by Francophones as students, as teachers. These are facts, and President Biya directly admitted last year, about a year ago in France, in the Paris Peace Conference, admitted to Mo Ibrahim that had been the game, to try and assimilate and integrate us into their system. And thank God it has failed because of identity and cultural problem. That is his own admission, and this is true. This is the whole point most of us have been trying to make. We thank God that old age reveals truth, and at one given point, the Quran actually says that you are a child, and when you get old, you become like a child. You know, children don't tell lies. If you ask children what happened, they'll only tell you what happened. If you even tell him that you did not see me, he will say that he said that I should tell you that I did not see him. So when people get old to an extent, only truth comes out. So thank God for that. Again, hallelujah, praise God. Southern Cameroonians who started the democracy in Africa, who had a deep sea port, had an airport. As a matter of fact, the first missionaries that landed with a plane landed through my alma mater, the Basel mission, landed with their plane in Bali at the airport, Anjenka. Yes, this is what we had. This is what we had. As far back as 1950, Southern Cameroonians knew how to wear a white shirt and go to meetings. They knew how to knot a tie and tuck in their shirts, and would wear clean socks. As far back as 1950, Southern Cameroonians had learned good manners, to say please and thank you. They knew this, and they entered into this union with this. On the other hand, till this day, our interlocutors don't know how to say please and thank you. They don't even know how to say good morning. We knew this. We came with all of these mannerism. that constitutes good culture for a society. We could build a society already. We were already schooled in the law, natural law, and cosmological law. We were schooled. We had lawyers who taught us how to respect our civic responsibilities. This was Southern Cameroon. This is still Southern Cameroons. But to participate in the politics under the fake union with La République du Cameroon, it took us lives beyond counts. 6 could be counted in 1992, in 1990, at the launch of SDF, but many people were missing. I will not mention the Ibibu program, the massacre in Kambe, and all of those things. Let's just go with what is fresh with our minds. To start a multi-partism, it took Southern Cameroonians to go for it. With the SDF, we lost lives. To have proper university, lives were lost. To get a board that would control our basic education, or you can say that, how do you call it? Secondary education, GCE, lives were lost. People were beaten. And this is exactly what Ndele warned us about. That joining La République du Cameroon is going to invite brutalization on you and your children by the police and gendarmes. He said it clearly. You would beg for your own food to eat. These are his words. In Islam, we don't call them prophecies, we say predictions. Those are high probable predictions because that is exactly what is happening today. Let me roll faster because you know all of these things. In 2008, lawyers and teachers started complaining about the erosion of the two things that matters in any society: our education and our judiciary, because Southern Cameroonians inherited the British education and forms of administration and things like that. By extension, our law, our legal system is what we call today the common law. The principle, the underpinning of the common law is that you are not guilty until proven guilty, i.e., if I say, Bash, you took my phone, the burden of proof is on me who is making the claim. I need to prove that you took it. That is common law. But the French Cameroonians inherited civil law from France. With civil law, it says that you are guilty until you prove yourself not guilty. Ridiculous, right? I.e., if anybody says, Abdul, you did that, immediately I'll be handcuffed, especially if I'm a Southern Cameroonian, pushed into a vehicle and locked up until lawyers or whoever can prove that I did not do it. So these are opposite things. It is night and day. It is a square circle. It is an enigma to join such things. It is very difficult. So, but the difficulty is that in a court, you have a person who is called today the magistrate. The magistrate makes decision on the proceedings of lawyers. He rules which lawyer, in his opinion, according to the law, makes more sense and wins the day or the case in court. So these magistrates have civil law as their foundation and the French legal system as their reason. They were now imposed in the common law courts without even mastery of the English language, talk less of the common law, which is the law of the lawyers of our courts. So what would you find in times like that? You realize that when you go to the prisons, more than 80% of those in the jails are innocent, because the magistrate presiding on the proceedings of common law and common law lawyers are not just unqualified, but they are unable to understand even the simple language that comes out from the lips of the lawyers defending their clients. So our lawyers wrote petitions upon petitions to the prime ministry, to the presidency. All went on deaf ears. Not even a response. So the thing became so bad that they could not take it anymore. In October 2016, they decided to exercise their international human right and a constitutional right of La République du Cameroon, which is to protest peacefully against misgivings in your profession or in governance. They were beaten right before you. Their robes were rubbed in the mud and their wigs were confiscated. The teachers decided to join. They met the same fate. The students decided to sympathize with their teachers. A lot of them were beaten. Girls were raped. That pushed Honorable Wiba to go to the parliament, because one of the things that actually triggered his beautiful appearance, courageous one, hilarious one altogether, at that parliament, was because one of the victims, according to his own mentioning, was his niece. One of the victims of rape was his niece. Southern Cameroonians could not take it. Mancho BBC and others decided to take to the streets to protest against bad roads and against lawyers that were beaten and stuff like that. He too made his own. Till this day, he's there. Southern Cameroonians got more aggravated. We heard all sort of things. We were 2 cubes of sugar. We are the ones who went and met them. Oh, we heard all of that. Radicalization began. People got angry. Our diaspora got angry, decided to abandon their pleasure and leisure, and they remembered why they left home. They remembered that they had 3 options as children of God in their own land. If you are born in Southern Cameroon, 3 choices or 3 options are before you. You take one or you leave all. Number 1, your parents have to be rich for A, get you a job by buying, or B, invest in you for you to start a business, give you the investment capital for you to start a business. Number 2, they are rich enough to send you abroad, or you become a prostitute or a thief or a beggar. 3 options. Most of our parents, though very hardworking but not rich, some of them sold houses, went into jangi houses. We are here educated today. More than 60% at least, which I know of Bamenda people precisely, are educated because our mothers fried pop-off. They wake up at 3 a.m. They will fry pop-off that we will take to school, and they will come to that school, sell the same pop-off and beans to other children to get Maggi for us. We would come back, fetch water, sell also all sort of things with them. When we manage to get A level, they must sell the homes they live in or go to jangi houses, indebt themselves to send us abroad. And for the elites who are privileged to serve the devil, their children can now join INAM. They can be lawyers under the chambers of their fathers who work for the system, or they can get employed by the parastatals or the government institution. But the majority, 2 options. You become a thief, a prostitute, a beggar, or you look for ways to go to Europe or America. Our diaspora remember that. They remember that even though they work in Europe and America, they have responsibility beyond control back at home. Medications and educations, and even feeding, even housing. So they rose up and they started protesting, and they enjoined the homeland to join in protest under the then leadership of Sisiko. But before then, what happened? When things escalated after lawyers and teachers were beaten and these girls were raped, on the 8th of December 2016, the government of La République du Cameroon sent a few militants of ours, led by Atanganjipo, to come and provoke the people some more, to march in a political setup in proof that there is no crisis, that everything is okay. The people of Bamenda said that was nonsense and they were not going to allow it. Akum Julius, a young student of the university, was shot by a live bullet and he was killed on spot in the hands of Muslims who tried to rush him to a medical center going through Waterside up to Firewood Market, but he died in between. Clement also was shot that day, but he died the later day. Things got worse. On the 1st of January, we heard that the government wants to speak to the people of Southern Cameroons. So they sent so-called Anglophone elites to come and talk to the people. There was an organization called the Consortium. The Consortium was made up of lawyers, teachers, and other trade unionists. So they reconstituted themselves under the leadership of Barrister Bala, Barrister Bobga, Professor Tassan, Professor Fontaine, and others. So the government started a conversation with them somewhere mid-January. On the 17th of January, the very consortium that was conversing with the Prime Ministry was announced disbanded and a terrorist organization. We came to learn later that the reason was that Barrister Bala, for example, proposed a return to the Federal Constitution of 1961, to the illegal Federal Constitution. He proposed that. That is why he was called a terrorist. The minister then for communication disbanded and said it was a taboo. So Bala was arrested alongside with Fontaine. Bobga and Tasang made their way on foot to Nigeria. That is the day, ladies and gentlemen, according to me, anything called federation between Southern Cameroons and any country in the world was buried. It beats me, and I'm surprised that people like Barrister Bala till this day have the audacity to speak about federation to us, have the audacity to forget that we fought for them, we bled for them to be released, though we heard some of them said it was thanks to their own ability and not ours. But it beats my imagination that they have this arrogance not to realize that it took 10,000 lives to give them the opportunity to speak again, to have their national dialogue. They need to show some humility. Now, on the 22nd of September, from December 2017, things became rough. Ghost towns were implemented every Mondays. Children could not go to school because insecurity was mounting. On the 22nd of September, which was a day I think the Security Council or the UN Assembly was gathering, the people decided to protest with peace plans. That was actually the day, though the protest was for Southern Cameroons, but the entire chanting was release Bala, release Fontaine, release Mancho. More than 5 million people on every corner of the territory of southern Cameroons, including grandparents of above 100 and even dogs, called God to serve justice for the release of people like Bala, who call us secessionists today, who call us separatists, who call us the radicalized and the violent ones. May God forgive you, for you do not know what you're doing. You know, it's like Christians would generally claim that Jesus Christ died for their sin. And then someone says, but you know, he was actually a criminal. The reason he was killed was because he was trying to plot against the Roman Empire and by extension, plotting against the religious authorities, the Pharisees. That's why he was killed, you know, not really because he chose to die for us. Shame on you. On that 22nd of September 2017, over 100 people fell by live bullets. Now, don't forget, we have seen protests in French Cameroon just recently, in 2019 and in 2020. Not a single human being was shot on the chest, not to talk of the face. Little Alien at my 4 was shot on the face on the 22nd of September. Oh God. So, Southern Cameroonians decided to invoke a resolution that had occurred in 1993. This resolution was read by a man called Simon Munzo. Actually, I have to respect his doctorate, Dr. Simon Munzo. Dr. Simon Munzo was a spokesperson for All Anglophone Conference 2 that was organized here in Bamenda at New Church. Is it Old Church? Sorry. The resolution stated that the people of Southern Cameroons are giving La République du Cameroon a period of time to think about returning to the federal constitution, which would stop all the marginalization, the torture, the pauperization of the people. If they fail to do that, I'm quoting Dr. Munzo here, if they fail to do that, the people of Southern Cameroons are going to restore their independence. Full stop. End of quote. So the people of Southern Cameroons decided to invoke that resolution, and they chose the day of which Resolution 1608 stipulated for their independence. That was 1st of October. So on the 1st of October, under the authority of Sisiku, the independence of the people of British Southern Cameroons, that was given by de facto of the Resolution 1608 by the United Nations in 1961, was reinstated by way of declaring its restoration. On that day, helicopter gunships flooded the airspace of Southern Cameroons with flying bullets and blazing fire. Hundreds again fell. And since then, what do we have? This is where you are, Southern Cameroonians. When you choose to go on air to get likes, to get comments and make advertisement for your pages on Facebook and YouTube, remember that more than 150,000 people are in refugee camps, starving and dying because of you. Because of you, because it's because of their land, and you are the land. Remember that more than 1,500 people are scattered in jails because of you. When you choose to insult diplomats, insult leaders, put your self-interest before the land of your birth, fight for power, Leak the secrets of your brothers. Be dishonest to yourself and to your people. Remember that over 15,000 people are dead because of you. When you choose to refuse to collaborate and become a surrogate to attack and insult people on social media so that you can have some likes and be recommended by a particular group as a good follower so that you can attend meetings, remember that close to 1 million or over 1 million people are internally displaced and missing because of you. Children are into prostitution. They are sleeping on the doorsteps of restaurants in Douala and Yaoundé, working without pay because of you. You've seen the killings of babies. Baby matter. Look at the massacres. Pinyin, that's Menka. Bali, Kwakwa, Kendem, Kumbo, Oku. Here in Bamenda, scattered Bali and Naka River, and recently Kumba. Look at all of this and what we don't even know, you and I. The Arab say in the Quran, Arabic says in the Quran, Allahu A'lamu. Only God knows best. Only God knows how many people die like this every day. This is where you came from and this is where you are. You know the story better than I can explain. But this is where you are. Some of us are not turning back. But we are asking you to have a renaissance, a rebirth. In biblical terms, it is called born again. That you be born again. That you remove the old thing in you and replace it with a new one. That is the meaning of renaissance, a rebirth. Have a change of heart, people of Southern Cameroons. We are wicked to ourselves. When you go on attacking other leaders, other activists, other people, you are not exposing nothing. You are only wicked to yourselves. I will explain that. But before I do that, let me tell you this now. It is important to define words. Now let's get a little bit academic. And the things I've said, I've always said I'm ready to debate. I closed that chapter. I had given the offer to debate Federalists then in 2018, early 2019. I'm done with that. I'm not doing that. We've put points of argument in the air that should refute that. We would debate them again on the negotiation table, and trust me, we are going to beat them. Facts don't lie. So I'm not doing that. But if I've told a lie against any name here, let them come out and refute me. I would stand corrected, or I would bear the consequences of my utterances. Dr. Monzo read that resolution, and here he is today. I really don't get it. What kind of human being would prefer anything to their independence? What kind of human being? Except one who has skeletons in the cupboard and who is fighting for privileges and status over the survival of people. That is the only kind of human being, no other. All right, so it's important to define certain words. Now we are getting to this issue of insulting diplomats. Southern Cameroonians don't do that. You don't have to do that. They have done nothing to you. Listen, ignorance is not a bliss. The fact that you don't know their job description, they don't owe you an explanation to their job description. The fact that you've refused to understand how the reality of the world works is not their fault. Are we capable of understanding? Yes, Southern Cameroonians. We have a very rich academia. We have a very rich scholarship to decipher everything that concerns this war. But what has happened? We did it. Southern Cameroonians, you did it. In 2017 and 2018, you were able to see clearly because you didn't have hate, envy, jealousy, and ego in your hearts. You were able to see it. This is why in less than 2 years, the same people you're insulting today came to listen to you and came to your aid. It took you 2 years to get their attention when you were not wicked to yourself, when you didn't have ego, when you were not an enemy to your own self, when you could control your tongue, when you had one enemy, and when that enemy was not your own brother, they could listen to you. So we could do it. We can do it. We did it. You guys did it. Southern Cameroons protested in the whole world unanimously for days altogether. We wrote the same language. We pushed the same letters to the same houses. We debated on the ground from the same voices. I didn't know Barrister Fu. I didn't share notes with him. But the first time we met on the podium, we argued as though we prepared our notes together. Today we cannot do that. Just give me a second. There is this Kennedy Ejacha. Let me read. It's like it's a distraction. Okay, so Mr. Kennedy, all right. So I'll just read what you're saying, and I'll give you a warning. Okay, well, what you're saying is not very bad. Okay, well, but just mind yourself, okay? So just be careful. Yeah, share your views, but if you insult anyone or speak against my independence, I'm blocking you. I don't owe you nothing. Okay. All right. So let's just for the sake of knowledge, let's look at a few words. Epistemology. If you want me to spell it for you, EPITEMOLOGY. Epistemology. Epistemology is the philosophical study of nature, its origin, and limit of human knowledge. Now, epistemology have shown us, mankind, that a human being cannot know more than they know. In other words, the only thing a human being knows is the only thing that they know. For them to know something else, they need to listen to other people and other beings. Then they will know. Actually, it comes from the root word gnosis. Gnosis is a Greek word which means knowledge. To know something, you must learn that thing. The only thing you know is what you have learned, is what you know. So it's important to take time and investigate these words and understand them. You know why? Because the people who give independence, the Western world, whether you and I like it or not, they are the ones who are in charge of saying that this person is independent or not. But actually, you have to fight and take your independence. But they are the ones in charge to ratify such processes. You are living in their world, Southern Cameroonians. You are not living in your own world. Even the language you use to express yourself and your problem is their language, it's not yours. The only way to navigate through, whether you like it or not, is to understand them. You have to take time and understand their prism, their epistemology, their cosmology, their democracy, their philosophy, their liberalism. You've got to understand it, lest you would be in your vicious circle. And it doesn't matter all the things you write, the insults you make, how long does it last on the social media space? 1 week, and there's another thing more important. There's the United Nations, United States election, which would overthrow everything. There is coronavirus.
Low battery, please recharge.
That makes more sense to them. And you think because you wrote and your own people like what you wrote and shared what you wrote, it means something. It means nothing. It flies like nothing. By the way, your struggle, which they call a crisis, is the most neglected in Africa. Think about that. But if you would understand them, the only way to battle a person, you have to understand them. The only way to debate a person, you must understand how the person debates. If not, whatever you do, keep doing it. It's your cup of tea. 1 minute, please. All right. The second thing we want to know is liberalism. You see, the entire Western world, including those of us in Africa and Asia who are adopting the Western philosophy, we live in a political system called liberalism. Liberalism, as it sounds, that's how it spells. It's a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprises. So it's a political philosophy, liberalism. In short, it means to be liberal, to be free, to do what you want to do, so long as it doesn't harm another person. The word human rights is a birth child of liberalism. All the 30 articles of human rights that you have in the United Nations. Stop all this. Okay, not me. Okay, came from liberalism. The ability, the willingness to be free. But liberalism is according to the Westerners. Is what their whims and desires consider to be good. This is their culture, whether you like it or not. They are not begging you. This is how they live. This is their culture, liberalism. Unfortunately, most of us, especially the black people, we go to the Western world, we fall into this culture, we embrace it, we love it, without understanding the underpinnings of this civilization. Actually, it came in the 1850s, the 19th century then, by the godfather, a man called John Locke. John Locke is the founding father of liberalism. You see, liberalism itself cannot be proved. It's something that is intangible. It cannot be proved, but it's a belief. It's an ethical system that the Western world enjoys, adopts, and uses. You and I, whether we like it or not, we have no choice but to respect it by understanding it. Why are we defining these words? The essence will be coming because we keep insulting diplomats. I have the impression, perhaps I'm wrong, and please, anyone is free to correct me now or later. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I think why we jump into these attacks and counters, which to me are very non-productive and are very unproductive, when you always have to counter, when you always have to react instead of acting and preempting, to me it doesn't make any sense. But I think the result is because we don't understand the fundamentals of the Western mentality. The Western mentality, we lack the fundamentals. Democracy, a system of government by the people, or all that are eligible members of the state, typically through elected representation. That is what they call democracy. Now, who is a diplomat? When you come out and address these people and talk to them, do you know who they are? Many people would tell you that ambassadors are people who give visas to travel to their countries. That's not the job of the ambassador. That's the job of the consular service. Look, a diplomat is someone who is appointed by a nation to represent and protect that nation's interest abroad. It is someone who is appointed by a nation state to represent that nation and protect their interest. Diplomats, so now that's a diplomat. Diplomats now have 4 different rankings. Number 1, on the top, we have the ambassadors. We have envoys. We have ministers, and then we have chargé d'affaires. Ambassadors, envoys, ministers, and chargé d'affaires. The ambassador's primary duty is to represent his country or her country and protect their interest. The ambassador's job is not to come and sympathize with you Southern Cameroonians and say what you want. Is to represent his country and defend the interest of his country. You are not the one who appointed him, and you are not the one who sent him, and you are not the one paying him, and he's not there to represent you or to protect you. But he can be your friend because he's representing a country. And if that country has an interest in the area where he is, then he also will have an interest in the happenings of the area. He can listen to you. He can help you. But you need to be humble. This is my opinion. That is how I think it works. Your arrogance won't do a thing. What will happen if they say, okay, since you think you can get your independence by yourself, since you think you're tough, go ahead and do it. What would you do without them? Really? Really? Well, think twice. Now, when we come out and insult ambassadors, we are not helping ourselves in any way, size, or form. I want to take a case study of the Canadian ambassador who came out last, or Thibault Nash, who came out, I think, 2 weeks earlier, to make a statement. That is his democratic opinion. Now, let's get something clearly before we continue. Democracy. Democracy is a universal principle, but it takes different shapes and sizes and forms in different contexts, philosophical contexts and political contexts. In a struggle or a revolution, there is no democracy. Write this down. There is no democracy in a struggle and in a revolution. We don't have strands of different opinions when it comes to liberations. No. We don't want to have thousands of opinions to pick one. That is why strong and reliable leadership is required. We don't have time for lengthy litigations between who wants to or no. So that nonsense is off the table. Because I hear people saying that federalists have the right to speak. To speak what? What with who? Speak what? In what case? What are they talking about? To say what nonsense? All right. Look. Dear Southern Cameroonians, you worked hard for 3 years. God heard you. What took people like the Sudanese 20 years, Eritrea and Ethiopia 35 years, and others many years, God listened to you in 3 years. And God, through your actions, God got the Westerners to set up a table on which negotiations could begin to resolve your problem. Canada stood up and supported the process in word and in kind. They supported the process in word and in kind. I'm asking, what would you want them to do for you? Please, with the little knowledge you and I have, you want them to come and say that, yes, you have the right, according to their own definition, to separate? They would not do that. These are member states of what governs the world called the United Nations. They have agreements. Before your struggle escalated, they have a relationship with a country called Cameroon, which they consider you to be part of. It's not because today you have stood up to demand for your rights that they will throw out that relationship in the drain. They will not. We have to be reasonable. But I'm asking you, when you hit them, do you recognize that? Do you realize that La République du Cameroon is also hitting them? I hope you know that La République du Cameroon is also insulting the Canadians for supporting the Swiss process. The West set up the table, and you Southern Cameroonians rejected that table. You gave La République a means to stay away from the table by you yourself refusing to embrace the process. They have waited, they have engaged you, they have encouraged you, they have enjoined you, and what happens? As though it's a curse, not only would some of you not want to join a negotiation table that will solve the problem between you and your own enemy, you have converted your struggle into a radical, egoistic, competitive platform where you insult yourself, you cannot speak to yourself, you only speak about yourself, you insult yourself from morning to night. And then it is affecting both your diaspora and your ground zero. They are able to move freely in your territory and see what is happening. Why won't they make their statements? Because you are who? Because you are who? Tell me. Because you are what indeed? Actually, if you ask me, such statements should be embraced as positive criticism, objective criticism to wake you up from whatever slumber you are in. Do your job. Do your own homework. And stop insulting diplomats. Build bridges. Do not build walls. Make friends, not enemies, for you need them. Let your reason guide you, not your bitter tongue control you. Be present in your struggle, indeed, not in social media space with negative approaches. Be mature and develop the right charisma. You cried for 2-3 years and your cry was heard. You think you will still carry the cry into the courtroom? No, in the courtroom, they don't want people crying. They want people talking. You cried. The international community heard you. Instead of you to iron your shirt, buckle up, knot your tie, and go talk to them, you're still crying, but not just crying. You're crying, insulting yourself and insulting them, making no sense whatever, making your case very premature in the face of reality. Look, we cannot assume that everybody knows the justice in our case. We need to promote it. How will you promote it? You want to talk to people, right? How will you talk to people when you insult them? How will you talk to people when you don't want to understand how they operate? How they operate is simple to know. And if you know that, then you will not expect them to use the kind of language you want. Southern Cameroonians. We need to ask ourselves what made the Swiss to develop the interest to set up the negotiation table. It was because of your tenacity and your resilience and your resolve, which in my opinion has not been lost but has been eroded by greed, selfishness, ego, and power-mongering. The resolve has been eroded. Look, I'm on ground zero. I speak with a vast variety of people. I cry every day. I hope you feel our pain, especially you in the diaspora. We've been here for long. Let's quickly look at the solution. because we must always present a solution. What can we do to remedy the situation? I called for meaningful and strategic collaboration in line of our IDPs, our POWs, our refugees, how we manage information so that we don't, if something happens, we shouldn't come out with contradictory messages. We shouldn't do diplomacy in double manner or by contradicting one another. We shouldn't have our POWs ill, unfed, and all of these things. We shouldn't have IDPs wandering about. We shouldn't have refugees unable to eat and have their basic needs. If we collaborate, we can achieve that. I was bashed at and backlashes came, which is okay. But if that is not achievable, because to me it's a big possibility, at least we can do one thing. Can we clean our media space? Can we stop fighting on Facebook and WhatsApp? Can we stop that? Can we bring some positive energy back to ground zero and in the diaspora? Can we come back to that level where we belonged to one womb, to one woman who gave birth to all of us? Can we come back to 2017, 2018? Can we do that? Just that suffices. Now, we have to understand that a lot of things would happen that would make us weary. A struggle is a very long journey and can be very tiring. Some people will fall on the way. You have seen that. Like Yannick Sikot, Sofonja, and all of these people, they will fall on the way. That's natural. Some people will give up. Just stay them silent. You won't hear them anymore. People who were active, they'll just go dead when their spirits have been dampened. Some people will be tired on the way. They will need to sit and rest. And of course, eventually they will get up after they have recovered, run and meet you. This is the nature of a struggle. But this is my advice to those who give up. Yeah, when I say fall, those are actually those who are bought. It is okay to get tired. It is not right, but it is okay as a human being. But if you get tired, you can just stay silent. You can just stay quiet and swallow your tongue. When you come in the name of the fact that there are troubles within the struggle, there are challenges in the struggle, therefore you have to sell the struggle, that is not being tired. That is being a traitor. That is being an enabler. And you will never be forgiven. Nobody will forgive you, even God. So, ladies and gentlemen, Southern Cameroonians, betrayal is unacceptable. And so far as I'm concerned, the Canadian High Commissioner, the mere fact that Canada supports the Swiss process, indeed, and in word and in meaning, is enough sympathy for me. I'm enjoining myself and you to refrain from insulting diplomats. Stop attacking diplomats. Fas'alu al-dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. If you don't know, ask those who know the matter. Stop that, it will not help you. Write everything you want to write, it won't change. You know what to do. You know what to do, Southern Cameroonians. You know what to do. But you will not do it. You have refused to do it because of your self-interest. You have refused to do it because of tribalism. You have refused to do it because it either has to be you or no one will do it. But be rest assured, with me, without me, with you, without you, Southern Cameroons will be freed. Think about your legacy. What do you want to be written about you? As the person who, because of self-interest, delayed a process for the people, by the people, in a given time and space, and caused a lot of pain, harm, and death, was a person who facilitated the liberation process. Think about it. It shall be written. You're going to write your own history with your pen. Choose the ink. Do you want a red pen? Do you want a blue pen? What you do now will determine that pen. Think about it. Southern Cameroonians, you need to wake up. We all need to wake up. If not, you will still be referred to as Le Biafrans. Le Biafrans, meaning that according to their own education, that were actually Nigerians. Because of the Biafra war, you ran into Southern Cameroons and you're refusing to go. You're going to be called a Bamenda, implying that you are primitive. You're going to be called a Boya. They will still refer to you as rats. Okala Bilai will still stand and insult our mothers like he did last month, that your children are the killers, your brothers are the killers. They will do it. They will still relegate your system to the extent that you can only work in their own system to feed your family. You will go back to that quagmire. You have the chance to change it. Our parents are old. They have given us the baton. We have to hold it strong and ensure that we don't give it to our children. We need to cross the line with the baton. Look in the mirror. That is where change starts. If you really want to change the world, take a look at yourself and start right there. Start with the person in the mirror. I'm calling on Sisiku and Dr. Saku. Get yourself reconciled. Not for the people of Southern Cameroon, because it seems we don't really matter. Do it for God. Do it for the dead. Do it for the martyred. I'm calling on Dr. Cho Ayaba. Find a way to collaborate with the reconciled IG. La Republique has made the claim many times. Even if they want to dialogue, with who will they dialogue? That is a good claim. I'm not asking you to unite. I'm asking you to find ways to collaborate. In the Christian denomination, we have a lot of denominations. The Catholics, the Roman Catholics, the Lutherans, the Orthodox, the Pentecostal. Within the Pentecostal fold, we have the Oneness Pentecostal, but all of them believe in Christ. If you all believe in the liberation of the people of Southern Cameroons, find ways in your hearts to collaborate in the areas that matter. Please, I'm begging you, stop all of this, what we do on social media. We've heard enough speeches. We've heard enough shows. We've seen all of those things, those beautiful words. You can't have it all the time. We cannot be on the same mistakes and expect different results. We cannot be heading now to Bafusam and expect to arrive in Boya. We need to turn our compass that will show us the direction to Boya. We are doing the wrong things, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do the right things, for we know them. God has given us the ability. Ground Zero is resolute. Very tired of the diasporan divide, but never tired for their struggle. Dear Southern Cameroonians, if I wanted to take the property of a family, perhaps their land or their house, the most important strategy or the most significant strategy I'll use is to make sure that the children fight between themselves. When they are busy fighting themselves, I would easily own that land. Yes, Southern Cameroonians are dwindling in numbers. You can see the church and the traditional authorities are acting as proxies to weaken resolves, and they are succeeding, believe me. All Southern Cameroonians need is a good collaboration from their leadership. They need a strong leadership that can bring a rebirth of hope, stability in the struggle, a clear roadmap, a handshake, a pat on the back by a brother to brother. That is what they need. Whether you like it or not, you are the leaders now. Sisiku, Dr. Cho, Dr. Saku, Dr. Akwanga. Whether you like it or not, you are the leaders. Nobody is coming to take your seats, at least for now. You're going to have to change your attitudes. Have a reversal of mannerism and continue your job. That's the choice you have. Or you fail your people. It is that simple. With that said, dear comrades, ladies and gentlemen, I have to go and do my last prayer. So let me get a few questions and then I'll be leaving. All right, I'll take a few questions and then I'll go. Someone is asking, why do I hate federalists, sir? Oh, okay. Yeah, and you can use the word hate. Yeah, let me answer. This is a clear reason. My brother, Kennedy, right? Listen, federalism, as a form of governance is not bad, but in the context of Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon, remember, we were forced into a federal constitution, which we were obliged. We entered. In 1972, La République du Cameroun destroyed and buried that federalism without asking us. They took out the federalism. When into 1984, they now decided to annex us totally by bringing us back into their own entity, which they entered the federation with. They called us La République du Cameroun. Southern Cameroon was extinct. Since then, they have never wanted to hear the word federation. Our brothers have tried severally to even mention it. What did they meet in 2017 January and 2017 January 17? Agbogbala and co were arrested. This is a country that had our independence in 1960 and we had ours in 1961 and decided to join them. They destroyed the federation, created a unity, destroyed it, and decided to assimilate you. You come begging for the federation, they lock you up. And then your brothers stood hard and fought to restore independence. So much such that international community gave pressure and you were released. And now you come back, you federalists, because I don't hate federation, I hate you federalists. I really dislike you guys, if you're one of them. You come back, instead of listening to your brothers, joining them in the quest to have a high bargain, you still go back to ensure that you must pin the very people who bled for you to the oppressor in the name of federation. In other words, God created us to die with La République. And the federalists in Southern Cameroon, in the so-called Anglophone regions of Southern Cameroon, that's how you call yourself. We say we are Southern Cameroonians, you are Anglophones. That's how you refer to it till this day. You don't even have the audacity to constantly say Southern Cameroons. You call it the Northwest and Southwest regions, or you call it Anglophone Cameroon. Nonsense. Listen to what happens now. You come with these weak arguments. What did you get? A special status. Even an idiot knows that you don't go onto negotiations with small bargaining chips. You took a weak bargaining chip and it gave you a special status which is being unable to be implemented. and you want us to consider you? Worst of it, the only reason our people have died is because of people like you who call yourself federalists. It's because you still give the enemy an iota of thought that it is just a group of people who want their independence. You call yourself moderate because you want to get financial aid from embassies. Shame on you. Shame on you. Because you want to wear suits and attend meetings. This is all that it is. Listen, brother, federalists are fighting for privileges and status. We are fighting for survival. Give me one reason why I should listen to federalists. Has the oppressor told you they want to federate? Please, if they have told you, tell me when and how. And these federalists, most of them, what's seeking us even most, they are not even talking about the constitution that gave birth to the illegal union between Southern Cameroon and La Republic of Cameroon, which was a two-state federation. They are now talking about 4 states, 10 states, all because they have houses in Douala, or they are married to one francophone lady, or they are enjoying some positions. And when we dig further, we realize that most of the people, their root is not even Southern Cameroon. Some of them came from across the Mongo and only grew up with us. This is why the people who call themselves federalists in the context of this war disgust me, truly. I have nothing to speak with them except on the negotiation table, because I know they will be on the other side, and I'm going to be on the other side, and I would like to talk with them then. I would like them to teach me this kind of federation they do understand. I hope I've answered your question, comrade. Is it Mr. Is it what's your name? Mr. What? What was his name? I forgot. Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, that's the answer. Okay, someone is asking, are you saying no matter what the diplomats say against us, we should not respond? Who is this? Victim Bar. Please, when you come to a show like this, empty yourself, follow the show. I did not say we should not respond to diplomats. I said don't insult diplomats. They did not insult you. They made a comment. Reply to them. They are defending the interests of their country. Don't forget that when you talk to them. Don't forget that. Remember that they are not here to represent you. They are here to represent their country and the interests of the country. So put that at the back of your mind. Factor in as a common point when you respond to them. You're free to respond to them, of course, but insult is not a reputation, sir. Thank you. Well, let me tell you straight up, Mr. Kennedy. Look, I have no business with federalists. Please, I don't have energy for that. I have a small memory, and whatever concerns these people doesn't really concern me. So please, you can stop commenting on that here. I don't need it. Yeah. Mokojo platform. So you just said La Republic is saying that. I mean, are you following the struggle, Mokojo? I'm not the one saying that's what she says. And look at me in the eye and tell me that we have not given them the opportunity to say that they don't know who to talk to. I mean, comrades, we need to stop the partisanship. It's not because you support a group or a movement in the struggle and you support whatever platform that constitutes them, it means everything is okay. It is not okay. AGOPC is not in act, and that is a serious problem for me. Okay. What is the atmosphere there in Ground Zero? I think I said it up there. Well, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Really, I'm not feeling too well, by the way. You can see me twisting my neck left and right. I cannot cover all the questions, and I've just tried to explain what I understand. If I've made mistakes, I'll stand corrected. Please just drop a message correcting me. But if I've said some things that we could take home, please take them home. Let's think about the points we've raised, and this is just a stimulus to us. I thought I'd shared with you. Thank you very much for staying here for over an hour, and I just hope that someone would bring this down and put on YouTube, please. And also, like I promised, soon as the book 70 by 7 times wiser is finalized with production, then I'll make it popular. Thank you very much. Makojo, how long must we wait for egg of C? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm really frustrated, but it's a challenge. We all have to be together, brother. Look, I would like Mokojo. I would like to be talking where you are, so that if I make a mistake, you can correct me, and I'm sure you would like me to extend that charity. I would like us all who want this thing to be together. That's the point, and you have to understand that there are things I cannot share here, but diplomatically we have serious concerns regarding our inability to marshal, especially at this stage, as one, not united, but on one cause. I mean, we should all the frontliners should be where there's negotiation, right? They should be. We are giving a room for many people to speak. You can hear federalists on La Republic TV. I mean, yeah, talking about the infighting. Believe me, I don't think they're wrong. I think we should listen to those things and consider them. When people criticize you, just don't throw them away. Listen to them. Listen to them. Sit in your quiet time and space and think about those things. To me, criticisms are correct concerns. Just that some come in a harsh manner, but it's good to consider them. I mean, this you and I know, comrades. If you're in the struggle, you know these things. You know what I'm talking about. You know, and you can feel it in your home. You can see it in people. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let me go now. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. You're most welcome, everyone. Ernest, Kennedy, the federalist guy. Oh, man. Shoot, that nonsense. Federalist. It's just wanting to be attending meetings with nonsense. I mean, okay. Okojo, I'm sure there's a problem with your comprehension. Go back, listen to me entirely, and you get the essence. So